So today we're going to do something that's fairly simple and easy, and it's Texas Cowboy stew. I think you're going to enjoy it.
Who I am is Butch Milbrand. What I do for a living is grow grapes, oversee the winery. The cooking part is a release. Be able to prepare a dish and people enjoy it. My second passion is aviation. My third passion is motorcycles.
Have you checked the oven? I can smell
I
your
need
pavlova.
I need to check that. Excuse me. We're gonna make a Texas Cowboy stew. And some people call it soup. I like it to be a little bit more stew style. I like some viscosity to the liquid. You know, it's a little more unctuous, a little more enjoyable, more flavorful, more of a meal. So we're gonna start with a little pan with some oil and throw in some chopped onion. This is red onion because this morning when I started, I didn't have any yellow onion. So onion's onion, and then we'll add a couple cloves of chopped garlic to it as well, so that you got all those flavors going on. You gotta have garlic and onion together. That makes life good. We'll give that a minute and get it up to speed here. And then we'll add the ground beef. Now you could use ground beef or you can use chuck chopped up into 1-inch cubes, which is more typical of stew. But this recipe happens to call for ground beef, so we'll use ground beef in this case, along with the sausage. So while these onions are starting to simmer, I'm gonna go ahead and slice this sausage up. The sausage was brought to us by my wife's sister, Liz. They live in Spring, and they came and visited us, and we have a little left over, so I thought, perfect, Texas Cowboy stew with real Texas sausage. Cut it on a little bit of an angle, gives it a little more surface, a little more interesting than just straight cut. About a 1/2-inch slice. You notice this sausage has a lot of fat in it, so it's a combination of pork and beef, so it's gonna be very flavorful. I get that nice smoky flavor. You can see the big chunks of pepper inside that sausage. It's gonna be wonderful. So those onions are starting to come to life, so we're gonna add this hamburger. Don't mind my hands. This is the way I do it. I like to have pieces. I don't want the hamburger to just totally turn into little bitty pieces that you can't find. I want you to find those little flavor bites of hamburger in there. So still have to break up a little bit, you know, get it down to kind of equal sized pieces, like almonds or walnuts, something like that. That size would be good for this hamburger. At this point, I can add this smoked sausage. Get the Texas taste going on in there. And then we also need to peel and chop up some potatoes. And I can do that while I'm waiting for this meat to brown a little bit. Okay, so the hamburger has browned. The onions are nice and soft, the garlic's cooked in there, and you can see this sausage is starting to lose some of its white fat areas because that fat is starting to render out of that sausage and add some flavor to the beef. So at this point, we're gonna add a couple chopped potatoes, maybe about half this bag of carrots, this can of green chilies, 1 can of diced tomatoes with its juice, and 1 can of pinto beans with juice. And then a couple cups of chicken broth and a little red wine. Maybe just a little slosh for the cook as well. You know, you got to make sure all your ingredients are good when you're preparing a dish. So you have to make sure the wine's, you know, of a quality. Put this cumin and the chili powder in there, and a couple of bay leaves. So we'll stir this just a little bit and then let it simmer for about 30 minutes or so. We'll put a lid on that, let it do its thing. You know, you could, if you wanted to, you could do this in a crock pot. You could throw this together in the morning. You can see it just, most of the stuff comes in cans or pre-prepared, and you just throw it all together in a crock pot in the morning, and when you come home in the evening, you got Texas Cowboy stew. And we're gonna pair it with our Traditions Merlot. You know, the Merlot is gonna pair very well with this because it's a really meaty dish with some spice and smoke, and Merlot is, you know, round and softer, and it's just an all-in-all good wine. You know, and Merlot is my go-to wine. If somebody says, well, what do you like out of Washington? It's Merlot, you know, it really is. Okay, so the stew has been simmering away for about 45 minutes. So the potatoes and the carrots are finished and the flavors have all melded. And I think it's gonna be, it smells awesome. I gotta tell you, it really does smell good. Now, first thing we need to do is find these bay leaves and get them out of there. And then we'll add the roux. Roux, as you know, is just equal parts of butter and flour, and you just fry it in a saute pan for about 15 minutes. So you're sure the flour is all cooked through, and then you can use it to thicken anything. You can see it's starting to get a creamy look to it already. And the more you add, the thicker this will get. And it just adds another layer of flavor. A little butter didn't hurt anything. And you can see it's starting to get some viscosity to it now. So it's turning from a soup into a stew. Now, in this case, you don't have to wait for the flour to cook. It's already cooked. Once you put it in there, stir it, it gets to the viscosity you want, and you're good to go. You can serve it, which we're gonna do. The nice thing about this stew as well is it's got lots of color. You got those tomatoes in there, potatoes, carrots. Now something that I do, I like cheddar cheese with stews. I just adds another layer of flavor to it. So in this case, instead of serving sticks of cheese alongside, we're just gonna add the cheese right into the stew before we serve it. And then we'll have another small bowl of it alongside on the table so that you can add a little more if you'd like while you're eating it. There.
Hopefully some of your herbs are starting to come back alive. So you could go down and grab a couple little sprigs of thyme, or maybe if your rosemary isn't too burnt and brown, maybe even a little sage, and you could kind of throw that out and around. And again, little votives, always put a little bit of flicker of light. It can be really pretty too.
I think you decorated lovely for it. You got the deer antlers there and the Texas cowboy boots, and you're quite the little decorator. Thank you.
Yes, smart.
You got the herbs around, and you know, besides the food smelling good, the decorations smell good. I like that.
Well, thank you.
So let's toast with a little Traditions Merlot from Milbrand Vineyards. What do you think?
Wonderful. It smells wonderful.